do you think schools should shut in a heat wave? With highs of 34 degrees forecast today, the UK could be hotter than Mexico, Jamaica and Barbados. And apparently tomorrow could be even warmer. For the second time in 2 weeks, amber health alerts have been issued in parts of England, warning of significant impacts due to high temperatures until Tuesday. But during heat waves, we seldom spare a thought for the children who are forced to go to school. Do you think it's downright cruel to make them deal with toasted classrooms, relaxed uniform rules and sweaty commutes? Do you think schools should just shut down? 0207 862 2222. That's the number. Maybe you used to go and help in the fields in the summer and never went to school at all. If you did, tell us about that. I love hearing stories about that. Give us a ring. Andrew, you used to be an expert on the weather, obviously, so people obviously held you personally responsible for heat waves and blamed you for the whole thing, and probably still do.
Yeah.
Do you think children should be given time off school when it's hot?
I mean, obviously there's a cut-off point in industry in terms of safety for people can only work in certain conditions, and clearly those rules should apply whether it's in education or whether it's in a workforce and everything else. So clearly, that goes without saying. But I think it's about adapting, isn't it? Because generally a heat wave doesn't last terribly long. The one that we're experiencing now does seem to have lasted I was talking about it just the other night with my husband. We couldn't sleep, laying there thinking, how much longer is this going to go on for? But normally it's just a case of adapting, opening all the doors and windows. Yes, allowing kids to take off their ties and their blazers and all that kind of thing. And maybe moving classrooms outdoors. And I know particularly it's easier in primary schools, go and sit under a tree and that kind of thing.
We used to love that when it was a hot day in the summer, didn't we? When it was hot, you could go outside with the teacher and then pretend to listen. But
all of that.
So it was absolutely marvellous.
Lie back with a bit of grass. And I mean, the blades of grass, clearly.
They could end with the grass mowing. Oh, it used to be great. I mean, do you think children should have time off school?
No, absolutely not at all. It's a signal. What's the signalling to them? The education's not that important. A bit sunny here. Don't forget it's only localised. Glasgow, the weather in Scotland, the weather's still really bad. No, and this term time is only 2 weeks left. Just get on with it. And think about the parents that would have to change,
But Jim, if there's snowflakes, they'll melt in this hot weather.
A lot of puddles in the street.
No, Claire's right. I mean, we can't interrupt a child's education just because of the weather.
No.
Come on. I mean, where does that stop? But I think schools should be palaces. They should be fit for purpose. They should have the relevant technology to make it a suitable environment to learn in. We're hearing about schools crumbling because of rack concrete and children being taught in porta cabins. That's not good enough. So what needs to happen is we need proper state funding for good, fit-for-purpose classrooms, so this isn't a problem at all.
Yeah. I've just been told in my ear in Inverness it's raining all day.
Well, there we
I'm
are.
not
If you're
surprised.
in Inverness, we send you a big kiss,
surprised.
a cuddle and a hug, and we'd like to send you a nice hot water bottle and some lovely knitted jumpers and cardies so you stay nice and warm in Inverness where it's raining like hell.
And the midges will still be
And
out.
the
Oh, they
midges
will.
will still be there. Let's talk to Virginia in Cornwall. Hi, Virginia. Do you think children should get time off school in a heat wave? What do you think?
Yes, I do, actually. If it goes on for a long period of time, I think they should, get time off if their classrooms don't have air conditioning or they don't have regular bottled water given to them, because I don't drink tap water out of the toilet, and why should children?
This sounds like a clean water commercial or something, but it doesn't really sound like a conversation about heat waves and whether children should come home from school. Virginia, surely they could just wear a cool T-shirt and they can open the school windows and the doors to get a throughput of air. I remember my teacher talking about a throughput of air. A throughput of air, we all learned about that. And then if they really need to, they can have some cold water or water in a glass or some vessel on the desk and they can flick themselves with it. I mean, I think air conditioning's a bit ritzy and a bit expensive, but they'll survive.
Do you really think so? I lived in America and I didn't stay in places unless they were air conditioned.
Right.
And if the climate is going to change, then I don't think you should be in a place where it's not air conditioned.
Gosh, you never thought you'd hear that in this country, did you? My goodness. Let's go to Carrie, who's in East Sussex. Carrie, should the children be sent home on a hot day like they get sent home on a snow day?
Well, I think I worked in a care home recently and they spent £5 million on a new building and they put in Velux windows, no air conditioning. And with schools, it's the same. You need air conditioning like America have, and then that wouldn't be a problem. But you can't close things like schools and care homes. How are we going to educate the children? And the care homes, you can't close the care home. People do need showering, but the staff are in extreme temperatures doing the showering, the cooking, poor chefs at schools. It's extreme heat that makes people pass out, and that's the heat that, we need air conditioning. It's getting hotter. It makes sense, especially with someone building a new £5 million building.
I spoke to that lovely, legendary weather broadcaster John Ketley over the weekend, and he said, don't get overexcited about all of this, please. Nothing in comparison with the long, hot summer of 1976, which was definitely the best summer of my entire life. I was 14. It was magnificent. My hormones were rampant. You couldn't go to sleep. Your parents had to let you out because people were just absolutely canoodling in hedgerows all over the bed. I mean, it was just heavenly. It was just a heavenly time. And it never rained at all between sort of May and October or something, not once, and everybody had to share a bath with a stranger, and we had a minister for drought. Do you remember Dennis Howell? And he was doing a rain dance all over the place, and then when it rained, everyone thanked him. It was absolutely remarkable, and everyone, my father included, went into the ice cream business because they couldn't make a living doing whatever they were doing because it was so hot. It was magnificent. And John Ketley said, this is no hotter than that, don't get overexcited.
But if it's going to become the new normal, and Carrie mentioned this, didn't she? If we're going to get more and more of these heat waves, we need to adapt because we're not built in this country for these extreme temperatures, cold or hot. So we need to do something. And that's why I keep saying schools need to be fit for purpose.
I think it's going to be so expensive, and most of the time it's absolutely freezing in this country. Let's go to Rosemary, who's on the line in Kent. What do you think about this, Rosemary?
Hello, Vanessa. Good afternoon.
Hello.
I'm just coming back from the Gambia. You have heat wave, which is over, 34, 35, 36.
Wow.
And the children, all they do care is just to go to school, and constantly they have their water bottles with them to make sure they are dehydrated and all this sort of thing. I went to school in Africa. My parents born here, grew up in Africa. And the heat wave is so high that you can't compare it with this one here that is just coming, 34 now or 32, whatever. Yes. But you still have your water bottle to make sure you are hydrated and all this sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So every little thing they complain. When it is snow, they say kids can't go to school, which I understand because if you have a lot of snow down on the floor. But the heat wave just gets your as far as I'm saying, all the children concentrate on, they just go to school. They are looking forward to getting up in the morning. Their uniforms are ironed and put it on and go to school. That's the system. This heat wave is for 2 days, 3 days, and it will pass.
I mean, Clare Muldoon's 100% with you on this one. She doesn't think it's a big enough deal to make a huge fuss about, do you?
Absolutely not. So, Rosemary, I completely and utterly agree with what you've just said. And the best bit, shouting out from me there, was the fact the school uniform was ironed. Bravo.
But would you like to do the ironing? I would not, would you?
I did it this morning before I left for
here. Did you really?
I did.
How old are the children?
I did my son's shirts.
How old is your son?
He's 21.
Oh, for goodness sake.
I know, and I don't do the washing, but he's just come back from university.
This really ties in with should adult children bring home their laundry.
Rosemary, see what you've started.
Rosemary, this is all your fault for mentioning ironing. Oh my gosh, when we come to the laundry conversation, we're going to have to introduce it then. When you've done their washing, would you iron it for them?
Don't do the washing. The shirts almost walked out their bag themselves, and he said, "Mum, he said, Mum, I have washed them." I went, "No, you haven't."
My goodness. Okay, we're coming to laundry in a minute. We can hardly hold our horses. We're so excited to discuss dirty laundry.
Got a lot to
about
say.
Washing your dirty laundry in public. It's all going on this show. Let's talk to Janet. Now, Janet lives in Leeds, but went to school in South Africa, so she knows what it's like to go to school in hot weather. How was it, Janet?
Hi there. We did get used to the heat on a daily basis, but when we were at school, if the temperature in the classroom hit 34, we had to go outside. They considered it dangerous to be inside with that heat and that we couldn't concentrate, so we had to go out of the classrooms, sit in the shade under the trees until things cooled down, and then we could go back in. We still had to wear our blazers going to and from school.
Oh my
but
gosh.
That's a totally different climate. So you do get used to it. But they did consider it not safe to study at temperatures above 34 degrees in the classrooms.
So what do you think should happen in this country? Because obviously it doesn't usually compare with the temperature in South Africa. Do you think everyone should just grin and bear it and get on with it?
No, I think we're not sort of geared up to it. So they should take even stronger measures, not closing the schools, but maybe having some of the lessons outside, providing fans. I'm not sure. I can't really comment. I don't have children at school here.
Well, thank you for recalling the South African summers in school. Yes, Jim.
Trickier to get children outside in a city school, for example. They might not have the green space next to the school where you can go and sit under a tree necessarily. But I think Andrea made the point, schools have to be adaptable with their uniforms, relax the uniform standards maybe in temperatures like this, just so that the children are more comfortable. I like that
Claire
point.
would say keep those ties on, keep those big jumpers, keep the school hat, keep that boater plastered on your head, get your blazer on.
Socks
None of this relaxing the rules, absolutely appalling. We don't want to do that. Lily-livered, molly-coddled milk toast. We don't want any of that. Get them
With
in
a
those
slap.
nice, warm winter uniforms all the way through the heat wave. That'll make men and women of them. That's what we need in this country. Let's get Kathy in Cambridge on this. Kathy, do you think children should come home when it's hot? Kathy, hello, in Cambridge. Are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hello.
Great. Okay. I am also South African, and I have both grown up there and in a very hot part of the country, and I've taught there and taught in the northeast of England, where it doesn't get as hot as now. As you can see, I'm in the southeast of England. I think a big thing in our schools is that they're built to keep the cold out and the heat in.
Yes, true.
Whereas in South Africa, our schools were built with verandas outside the classrooms, and then you had a through draft, as you were saying earlier. So you got air through the classroom. Air conditioning is an absolute no-no. If we're trying to get our climate change handled with regard to our environmental friendliness, then we certainly don't want to be putting air conditioners everywhere, because they are absolutely shocking for the environment. And they're also really awful. When you come out of air conditioning into intense heat, you actually feel physically sick. So going in and out of air conditioning is not healthy.
Are you suggesting that we build verandas? Because I love that word.
Love a veranda.
Well, that would be absolutely fab.
Wonderful. That's what we should do. Beautiful verandas outside all our schools. And this. Imagine the cost, imagine the upheaval, imagine the whole thing. And then they can all go and sit in the veranda when there's a heat wave once every X number of years or whatever.
It's a great point that Kathy made, though, about there are architectural solutions to this. And I appreciate we can't just suddenly rebuild all of our schools, but there are plenty of schools in hot climates around the world that cope with these temperatures on a day-to-day basis. And they get on with educating their children in temperatures like we're experiencing today.
I think we just resort to the old-fashioned formula, just give them a chock ice. That's what my dad used to do.
No, I could
hot
definitely
weather, you
support that.
give everyone in the warehouse where they're all stacking up the pyjamas and the bras and the knickers, because in the underwear business, as you know, and he'd give everyone a chock ice. Everyone would love it. Everyone would be in a good mood. Everyone would have a good time. That's what I remember. I did that in my radio studio yesterday. I said, hot weather, everyone has you don't even get a chock ice. And what happened to chock ices, for God's sake? Can't even get them.
They
So
put
I
them
give
on
some
sticks
much
now.
more
They charge
expensive,
double.
fancy, schmancy ice cream, but I still gave everyone ice cream. Important. Do
Very
that.
magnanimous.
Bring a smile
Well
to
done.
their faces.
Absolutely.
I think that's the thing to do.